Hey everybody, welcome to the Untitled Gacha Podcast. Seriously, that's the name right now. We don't have anything, so if you have a good name, you have to let us know in the comments below so that we can steal it. This is a podcast hosted by myself, Mysidia Gaming, and my buddy Rev, aka GatewayOfTheSix, who's also going to be on YouTube. So say hey to everybody, Rev.
How's it going, Mysidians?
Oh yeah, so we're starting this podcast together because we want to do what we do on the Discord, which is talk about gacha games and talk about gaming in general, and kind of share those thoughts with you all. And these episodes are going to be posted on my channel as well as Rev's Gateway of the Six channel once that's up and running. So as soon as I'll put the link to that in my description. So if you enjoy this content, then you have to head right over there and subscribe to him as well, so that we can get this guy going.
I promise I won't disappoint.
Yeah, awesome. So the general idea behind this podcast is we're gonna cover some gacha news some weeks. We're gonna talk about specific games, and what we're actually gonna do this week is we're going to talk about a very specific game, which is my main game, War of the Visions. But before that, we'll talk a little bit about ourselves. So, Rev, why don't you start us off? Tell us what games are you currently playing? What are your main games? What are your side games?
All right, so currently I'm working with, I want to say 3, possibly 4 games. The first one being FFBE. I didn't pick this up until maybe about 2 months ago, so I came in late. I have a lot of things to say about that game. It's more like it was a side game because I heard about all the bad stuff when it first came out. Checked it out for myself, and it was nothing like that. So as time went on, it became my main game, along with Exo's Heroes, which recently came out about a month ago, and that one has been steadily dropping down to a side game, believe it or not. As much as I talk good praises about it, recently some things have been not all right with the game, so it's steadily going into side game. And my third game is Guardian Tales, something that flew under everyone's radar. I didn't hear nothing about it until maybe 2 days ago. Picked it up, and when I tell you, Mysidia, this reminds me so much of Tales games in general, the old GBA format Tales games.
That's awesome.
So that I'm currently working on. Recently started the game. Don't know what to think of it yet. Main game, side game, who knows? But it's starting to be a strong competitor with Exos. And my possibly fourth game is a game that's currently in closed beta that I've been accepted into. Can't say anything about that because there's an NDA. When it comes out, I'll definitely let you know.
I'm sure you can all guess what it is, but again, we're not going to say it. So Guardian Tales looks really cool, and I'm super scared to try it because I don't want to like it and then have to add another game onto my list right now because I'm totally packed. But maybe that's a good episode 2 for the podcast. So for me, you should all know if you're watching my stuff that I'm a big War of the Visions fan, but I'm also playing some Tales of Crestoria a lot more now. I've been playing some Romancing Saga. I definitely say Romancing Saga is a side game. And then I'm working through all the offer wall games in War of the Visions, so I'm playing all these other games to earn Visior in War of the Visions. So right now I'm playing AFK Arena, I'm playing State of Survival, and I'm playing Idle Heroes. And I don't think I'm going to stick long term with any of those, but I'm just kind of doing them on the side while I play War of the Visions to try to earn that Visior. So I'm kind of spread pretty thin right now, but it's all about them gems. Yeah, man. Oh, you gotta do whatever you can. I'm trying not to spend too much money. It's not like like I could spend money. I really could. I'm not like short, but I'm trying to stick to like a plan. I think it's a slippery slope. As soon as you start, you buy one thing and then you're like, oh, I could just buy some more gems and so on. So by sticking to my stick to the plan, and then you can do no wrong. My time is worthless. My money is worth something. So that's it for our introductions and kind of what we're doing. So the main thing we're going to talk about today is War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which is my main game, and a game that Rev, so you played it for a while at launch and then you stopped, so you've got an interesting perspective on the game.
Oh yeah, so I went into the game 2 weeks after it was released because I was very cautious of it. When I was younger, the Final Fantasy Tactics came out around I want to say a year after the GBA release. I heard about it, I got it, and I fell in love with it. But it was extremely time demanding because of the formations, the strategies that you had to put into it. And back in the day, I wasn't smart, so I didn't know how to figure anything out. I didn't have any friends to ask about because they didn't play the type of games that I played, so it kind of sat for a while. So when I heard about the game, I was like, it's a gacha game. I'm really into those right now. But I don't know. So 2 weeks passed. I finally downloaded it. I spent about a week re-rolling because that's all I do in any gacha game that I play. Just re-roll. And I finally got my desired re-roll, which was Medina and some other characters. And I hopped into the event that was going on at the time, which was the Final Fantasy XIV collab. And I played 14 at the time. I was heavily into it. Everything that I did was, log in, have some fun, try to PvP, non-existent, and have some fun. But I was heavily getting into this event. I didn't know when it was gonna end, so I ended up grabbing Fancre and flopping at the very end because I didn't have enough time to grind the rest of his shards. So I have an uncompleted Fancre, which is useless. And I began to steadily work on the account. I was progressing through the story. I didn't really pay much attention to it because it just felt very cookie cutter. Then all of a sudden, I just lost interest. It had too many. It sounds dumb complaining about it because of who I am and what I like in gacha games when I look at them for face value. It just had too many things. It had too much grinding, which was alright, whatever. I'll grind. I can grind overnight, but it was so demanding on what units you had to use for certain things to grind up their resources for. Medina uses mage items to upgrade, and then after that she uses ninja items to upgrade, and after that there's other stuff, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
All those resources were spread out so thin through the units that I had from the gacha, and a lot of them overlapped, so I had unfinished units everywhere. And it was just too much of a time investment. The Visior was for me was very, very short. I didn't have a lot of Visior to spend, and since I'm completely free to play in any game that I play, it just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere again. And then the guild that I was in was great. It was supporting, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like the game was grabbing me as it should have.
Yeah, you know what? I'll address a few of those points. I think you're totally right in that there's just so much to do in the game, and it's kind of funny because that's what I like about it. Because in other games I've played, I feel like, man, there's no substance here. I feel like I have such little impact on what I'm doing and what my characters are doing. And then in War of the Visions, I feel like I have way more control over what's happening. And you definitely hit a plateau where you've worked on your main characters and you've got all those job materials and all that other stuff, and it becomes way more manageable because you're only working on like one character at a time. So I think after a large initial investment, you start to get to a nice manageable phase for sure. But that's not good enough for like a new player coming in. There's just so much, and I think that War of the Visions really punishes players that spread themselves over too many units. Like if you don't focus on like a few units, you're totally kind of screwed for a little while until you can gather more resources, and some resources are not farmable, which makes it a lot harder to do it. So I totally get you on that.
That definitely was my mistake, going from one unit to the other, because the units that I had were so powerful end game. But while I had them, they weren't end game, so it felt weak. So I was little by little upgrading each of them. In any like team-based game that I play, it's always like the recommended format is to never just go all in on one character. Spread them out so that everyone's even for the content that you're doing. For this game, I didn't know that that's not the recommended path, because the resources are shared.
Yeah, I mean you want to work on like at least 5 units at first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I had tons of units that I had, and I was just like, I want to use this for that and that for that, and I just ended up digging myself into a deeper hole that I couldn't get out of.
Yeah, and the other thing that's kind of interesting about your story is that you went for Fancre, who's like the game's just launched. This is a limited unit, and he's a double cost unit. He's got the double cost shards in the shop, so he's just a total pitfall for new players that are still learning the game mechanics. The timing of him being at the start, the launch of the game, was kind of weird. I mean, it gave something for whales to immediately spend on, but for like for example, I spent all my event tokens buying Fancre, but then I didn't get any shards for him. So I'm happy to have him as a collector, but I was a total waste of event tokens as like a efficient player. So I thought that was kind of a weird timing to do that right at the launch of the game.
I know why they did it, but I'm not going to speak on that.
Well, he's a whale unit. So, but I think that if
he's a whale unit, and when the game launched, they wanted to see massive success in any gacha game. When they come out in the market, they want to see that initial investment being put in when they release. Okay, so people are liking our game, they're supporting us, money's coming in. That unit was used, especially as a Final Fantasy XIV collab, with the hype that it has, and deservingly so. It's just, for free-to-play players coming in, it wasn't a smart thing to do.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why you might have been low on Visior, because another thing that I've found now sticking with this game and going around to other games is that War of the Visions is pretty generous with their currency. Like, I've been able, I haven't bought that much currency. I spend $10 a month, and I've been comfortably pulling on many banners. I've been able to save quite a bit. I just buy like the $10 100 Visior a day for 30 days, like so you get 3,000 Visior.
The monthly pass? Okay.
Yeah, like the monthly deal. I get that every month, and that's about it. But I've still been able to save a ton. So I think you have to you really do have to save though. Like you can't spend it on anything until you get to the summons, and you can't pull in stuff like vision cards. You have to be pulling on like one unit. So it does really limit you, I guess, in that way. But I've been really surprised by how much Visior I keep getting in the game, which it's cool.
Man, if you stuck with Exos Heroes, you'd be saying some different song.
Do they give out a ton in that game?
Oh my god. When that game first came out, it was basically Christmas. Everyone, for any activity, you were getting Zest, which is the currency in that game. Anything would give it. And currently still there's ways of getting it. As a free-to-play player, I've gotten so many units, so many pulls. I've done so much in this game, in the little amount that I've played it, than in any other game.
I think there's a lot of ways to spend it though too, right?
Yeah, there is, but no one really does.
Yeah, I just
Um,
save.
because you can spend it on equipment, but equipment isn't really viable to spend on because the cost versus reward isn't there. Whereas there's another thing, um, the um, something of creation, the door of creation, which is a thing
Mm.
where you get extra currencies from doing daily, like your daily grind, your PvP, like anything in the game that gives you rewards, you get those rewards and use it on that. So it gives you another way to pull for units, for materials, for anything like that. And um, you're able to get max level heroes, the not max level, but the like the maximum rarity, the faded heroes. You can get them from that too. Their weapons, you can get those from that too. So it's when they give you the zest, it's basically just for pulling.
Mm. And you know what? This is a really good segue into kind of we're going to talk about good and bad practices in gacha games. So something that Exos Heroes has that is it's been kind of contested a bit, which is that pity system where you pick the unit you want and you're guaranteed to get them for sure. But some people have said that it's kind of it's a real money sink, like you shouldn't do it. Other people have said you should, but what's interesting is that War of the Visions doesn't have a pity system. They did just implement, like this week, a bar that fills up and you get a guaranteed UR, but it could be a unit, it could be a vision card, it could be literally anything. But if you're pulling for a unit, there is no guarantee ever that you will get that unit unless they put, like they did it one time, they put Ramza was buyable for summon medals. So if you hit a certain point, you could get them. But and that's how I got them. Other than that, you could be like, there's people that spend an insane amount of Visior and they never actually get a unit. So what are some of the things that you noticed when you were playing the game?
Which game specifically? Exos?
No, War of the Visions.
Okay, so War of the Visions, when I played it, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna piss off a lot of people. I had good luck. It was a couple of pulls and I'm out. I got the unit that I want and I pulled out immediately. With Fancre, he was farmable, so that's a different story. Medina got her on my reroll, that's a different story. But there was this new. I re-downloaded the game. I want to say a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, and there was this banner of this. I forgot what her name was because I didn't care, but I pulled her in like 2 tries. And I think I posted a picture on the Discord, and then I deleted the game right after. So
you're out of control.
But that's the free-to-play luck, baby.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. Go ahead.
But as far as it, like the pity system in general, the implementation is great. Okay, let me give you an example. There is this Epic 7. They have a great pity system, give or take, for 2 things. There's one for rate up banners, and there's one for the Mystic summons. So there's 2 different currencies that you have to get. One's Covenant, one's Mystic. The rate up banners, you have to pull them within 150 tries, I believe, and you guarantee the unit within that 150. If you pull her before, then the timer resets, or the counter resets. If you pull their artifact, which is the vision cards for the units in War of the Visions, you don't reset the timer, so you can still keep pulling for the unit, and you can get multiple copies of the artifact. For the Mystic summons, if you pull a certain amount of times, and it's a 200 counter, if you pull 150 times and you don't get the unit, and the banner resets and goes into a different unit, it carries over all your progress, so you don't have to pull 200 again just to guarantee that unit. So that is a good practice.
Yeah.
With War of the Visions, I don't remember what the rates were, but it wasn't good because there was no pity. Regardless of what the rates are, it could be 3% or 5%, it doesn't matter. Those percentages are just luck based. You have to hit it or you don't, and you miss out. And
Yeah, it's
that
total
right there
variance.
is money.
Mm.
That's money.
Yeah, I get that. So it's good that they do have now, you get something. Like, you're not going to go forever without even pulling a UR. Like, for example, in my pulls for Warrior of Light, I was able to get a bunch of vision cards, and I think the only unit I ever got was Gilgamesh for URs, and I would have loved for that pity system to be implemented, because it would have helped me out a little bit, maybe getting a new unit or something.
No, and I heard Gilgamesh was a time sink too.
Yeah, he's also a whale unit, so he's double cost shards, and you can only farm 1 shard a day for him, opposed to 2. So like he's insane. But again, I don't have a problem with whale units in general. I think that's fine. That's you're giving people a reason to spend that want to spend, and they're supporting the game. So like I have no issue with that. But I think the timing of Fancre was different, because there were so many new players that wouldn't know to hold off on him. So
no, and especially because the next banner after that was the Final Fantasy Tactics collab.
Well, it wasn't right away. There was some time to save up.
Well, yeah. But let's say for someone like me that came into the game late, spend everything that I had on the on Thancred, all the Visior, and then the next one was I forgot what her name was. She has the musket.
There's Frederica, and Shadowlinks.
Frederica.
Yeah.
And I ended up pulling for her, so I got her, and then by the time Ramza came out, I was depleted.
Yeah. Well, you know what was nice about the FFT event is that they gave the free 10 shots every day for 10 days, and the limited units were in the 10 shots. You could pull them, whereas we just finished our free 10 shots 10 shot per day for 10 days during the Final Fantasy 1 event, and you could not pull any of the collab stuff in the 10 shots, and I thought that was kind of lame. That one was kind of lame too, because they said the 10 shots were for from a gift from the global producer, but then they delayed the 10 shots to be in line with the Final Fantasy 1 event, which is what happened in Japan. Japan just got the 10 shots as part of the Final Fantasy 1 event. So what we think happened is they just rebranded the 10 shots as the global gift when they were going to do them anyway, which I thought was kind of lame. But
it's certain companies, it's not by mistake either.
Oh no,
it's not by mistake. They're doing it deliberately, and that's the scummy thing I don't like about gacha games, especially right now in today's market with everything going on right now. Especially, luckily for me, being free to play, I don't have to worry about that stuff. But I do worry for the friends that I play with, the guild mates that I have, our Discord members. A lot of them, they're supporting the developer, but at the same time it reinforces the developer to keep doing what they're doing and not listen to what other members of the community are saying. And that's currently what's going on in Exos Heroes, where they are getting too greedy. They reworked a thing called Upier's Labyrinth that free-to-play players could go in, collect an absurd amount of Zest for the month. It's like the tower mode for any other game. And they reworked it because the units that we were facing were hell overpowered. That's no mistake. That's the reason why they reworked it, quote unquote. But when it came back, it was absolutely nothing like it used to be. And they basically removed a free-to-play option for us players.
Yeah, that's no good. And I think you see that. I've talked to multiple people that they get their stimulus check or whatever, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to spend it on their gacha games. So I think I don't know if any developers are thinking about COVID-19 and how predatory are they being during this difficult time, but at the same time they're also being affected with their ability to get content out and stuff too. So I don't think I know enough to criticize them necessarily, but it's an interesting debate.
But just on a human basis is wrong.
Yeah, yet we
In
are
my eyes.
literally in the middle of the first episode of a podcast all about these games because we like to play these games, but we do criticize them as well. So I've heard we've heard a lot of fair criticisms of War of the Visions, but I want to hear what was good. What did you like about it? What was appealing to you about it?
The animations, sick. When I got Medina, or should I say, yeah, when I got Medina to a certain level, and I was just one-shotting a group, I was like, oh my god, that feels good. That feels great. But Fancre, when he was tanking the Final Fantasy XI event, and I was putting it on repeat with Fancre on front line, I was like, all right, this is a team builder that I like. I like to invest in units that can do different roles. I can do any strategy as long as the space is there available for me to move to. Height. Oh, I am so sorry about that. Let me go ahead and
No, you're good.
that was just notifications. Height differences for certain characters, stealth modes, the ability to weaken an enemy, to put debuffs on it, like all those systems that I play on different games, on different RPGs, on any single platform, those reeled me in, and I was like, all right, this is dope. This is dope.
There's a lot of different ways to play. It's like I said, it feels like your choices have an impact, and it doesn't always feel like that in gacha games.
100%, absolutely. Yeah, in this one you can use, and another thing that I really liked on paper, because I wasn't able to implement this because I was dumb, but any character that you use, and you made a video on this, there's this dark range character.
Oh, Ryu, the gunner.
Ryu, yes sir. I had him.
Yeah.
Never used him. Month later, your video comes out. I'm like, man, I could have used him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's
so
awesome.
Any character that you have on there, if you build them up correctly, if you use them for their strengths and not look at them for their weaknesses, they're viable for any content.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like the highest level PvP, sure, you need certain equipment, and maybe you need certain units, but even then I think that there's some wiggle room as well. But that's something that I get frustrated about in gacha games, is that people always talk about free to play versus pay to win, and people will say, well, I'm not paying, so I can't be top 100 in PvP. But that's fine. You're not competing in the top 100 of PvP, so why even compare yourself to that? If you're trying to get into like the top 1000, then that's what the top of your bracket is. That's where you're competing, and you can have an insanely competitive time as a free-to-play player trying to get as high as you can. There isn't really any meaning besides the ranking rewards to getting higher than that. So it's like, I don't complain when I'm playing men's league soccer that my team was in Div 2 and why aren't we playing in the Div 1 team? Well, we haven't made Div 1 yet, so we don't play Div 1 games. It's the same thing. Like I don't. They're two different leagues. They're two different brackets. You can still enjoy everything there is to enjoy about PvP where you're at. So when people, I don't like it when people say pay to win in War of the Visions specifically, because there's literally, you can enjoy the entire game and every single piece of content with your account without spending a dime.
You want to know what the problem is?
Yeah, sure.
Pokemon has conditioned us to want to be the very best.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing. It's all about the credibility. I made it for my account. And on Exos Heroes, that's what I'm currently doing. There's there right now, as the current state of the game, the cleave units, like characters that can one-shot an entire team, are not currently viable because of dragon barrier passives that reflect damage back and make enemy units insanely tanky. But I'm currently implemented some strategy to where my cleave unit, FC Rudley, is currently mowing down everything, and I'm currently in one of the top places in PvP. So free to
Wow.
play 100%, and I'm
Very
making
nice.
it. So
That's awesome.
it's all about the mindset and how you start doing it.
See,
But yeah, Pokemon
that's
really fucked this up.
we should do an entire episode on mindset, because I think that mindset is something that's super important for gachas. And I think we talked about this off camera. We were talking about how neither of us thought much of gachas before we started playing them, and then now we both play gachas and we both enjoy them quite a bit. And I think that the biggest thing with that is that we both have very realistic and positive mindsets. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure. The reason why I avoided them was because of horror stories that I heard from other players.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I had this buddy of mine spend thousands of dollars, didn't get the unit he wanted, and his account is ruined. Or another thing was I spent X amount of hours, and I'm currently not being able to do anything on the game. I wasted all this time. I'm like, god damn, I don't want to fucking touch this shit with a 10-foot pole anyways. But I was bored one day, had nothing to play, nothing to do, and I said, you know what? Let me download this. What was it? I forgot what the game I first touched was, but I remember that it was fairly generous in what it was providing. So I played it a little bit more, and I was like, all right, I don't see what the problem is. Then I started spending. I started spending some more, and my investment wasn't going anywhere, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, I caught it. A lot of people don't, and this is where the horror stories come from. When I started catching it, I was like, you know what? Let me stop, because all I'm gonna do is ruin my bank account and then ruin my bills. Once my bills are ruined, I can't touch this game. Once I can't touch this game, then I'm gonna really feel bad about the investment that I put into it. So I stopped, took a look at how my account was. I was like, all right. So I'm currently going nowhere. I've spent too much money. Let me stop and see what happens. And since then, the luck suitably, like, I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but in a falsifying way, I felt like my rates went up once I stopped spending. So I stopped spending altogether, and the rest is history. It's all about like the way that you pace yourself. If you go out of control and you have that gambler's addiction in the back of your mind, you're always gonna want to get whatever unit and spend as much money as you can to get it. You don't get it, you feel terrible. Drop the game, investment lost.
Yeah, I think part of that is, again, it's mindset, and when you're not pulling as much, you're probably not failing to pull as much. You know, just the sheer lack of pulling means there's less disappointing times, and you also just
feel as bad.
You don't feel as bad, and you feel better about your account and your and again, it all depends on your goals and depends on your mindset. But I totally buy that. I think that it is like a pseudo luck. Your luck's gone up, because especially when something good does happen and it's free to play, then you feel justified for your playstyle because things have come to you.
Oh yeah. Okay, so tell me you don't do this when you're pulling and you finally see the rainbow colors. And this is almost universally the same on almost every single gacha game. Those rainbow colors come up, that smile comes across your face.
Oh yeah.
Your brain feels good. Oh yeah. That's the addiction right there.
Oh yeah.
That's where gacha
time.
Games.
That's where they get ya. All right. Anything else you want to talk about today before we sign off?
Well, there was a couple of things that was brought up in our Discord, which will be in the description below, Mysidia.
Yes. Yeah. We're gonna. I gotta start pumping up that Discord more.
Oh yeah, yeah. For all those that don't know, I met Mysidia when Blade X Lord came out. You made a video, and I was searching everywhere for a decent video to watch for a game that I started liking. his came along, and I was like, who is this guy? Huh? He looks like he has almost no subscribers, but his content is amazing. All right, let me go ahead and look at this guy's videos. Every time you came out with a Blade X Lord video, or when you came out with any video, I was like, man, this guy's cool. So I subscribed, I commented, I was like, all right, let's link up. Do you have a Discord? He said no, and I was like, it's about to go down. So I got in. I made the Discord from scratch, brought in all the bots, the commands. Like, I didn't know anything about Discord, but I played it off as I did. And he was like, oh yeah, you can do it yeah, you can do it. So ever since then, I've been part of the Mysidia crew.
And I'm insanely grateful to all the help. I mean, honestly, back then, every positive piece of feedback I got was incredibly impactful because there just wasn't like much volume of it, and all the help that you gave me with the Discord and just in general, like there's times where like you would give me advice or I would go bounce an idea off of you or something in a chat, and I've always really appreciated that. So I'm hoping to pay it forward when your channel gets up and running here.
Well, let's see what happens. Smiles all over. All right, yeah. So let's see. So one of our members, OXT S93P, there is a couple of points that he actually pulled out that was really impactful to me. Poor communication with player base. So I don't know about War of the Visions because I didn't stick around enough for them to like do announcements or whatever, but I feel like a lot of gacha games fail, like let's say Blade X Lord, rest in peace.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
They failed because of not proper communication and not being able to talk to the player base and say, hey, what are we doing wrong? What can we improve? And how can we implement it? Those simple questions go a long way with a community that loves your game. They will give you all the bad, they'll praise you for the good, and they'll share your stuff and be like, try it out, man, try it out. Whether it's in a bad state or good state, they will help you. And Blade X Lord just didn't do that. The last couple of weeks, it was dead silence.
Oh, man, you know what they actually did? They had the AMA, they had the whole like, we want to improve, how can we do it? And so they got our hopes up. They actually did the communication thing, and then they went completely silent. They ghosted the community. They fired the Discord directors, and I thought that was even worse. Like, they could have just disappeared off the map, but first they got everyone's hopes up and did a whole big AMA, and then they went off and went missing, which I thought was pretty lame.
Oh man, yeah, that's how games fail, when the devs just don't care. They don't care if people are playing the game. All they care about is, are you spending? Are you making it livable for us? It doesn't matter what you guys want. It's what do we benefit from it, and that's how a lot of games fail. That's poor communication. Let's see.
You know
there
what?
Was one.
Oh, sorry. Ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna bring up a different point of contention.
I was just gonna say a game that eventually died but had a very long run. Final Fantasy, Mobius Final Fantasy had a really good connection where the someone from the development team would get on Reddit and would respond to things, and I thought that kind of thing goes a long way. That's the type of thing that the community really appreciates, and I hope to see more of that in War of the Visions going forward, because they have hired a community director. That
just reminded me of our very, very dear game to both of us, Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes. Oh yeah, the number one for community.
Yeah. So when it first came out, I was so hyped because at the time I was nothing but Final Fantasy. Everything I played, Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy. And I heard about this MMO. I didn't know about 11, so that didn't count. But I heard 14, and I was like, holy shit, this looks amazing. I didn't have a PC, so I couldn't play it. And then I heard it was shutting down. I was like, what happened? Well, it was very bad systems that they carried over from 11 to 14. It didn't work out, made the game buggy. It sucked. And then they changed directors. And Naoki Yoshida comes in and says, we're going to just redo everything. Let me know what was wrong. And he made it all better. He revamped the game, came out with something else. And to this day, they are still actively communicating with the community, asking them, how do you feel about the game?
So I played through the whole 1.0. I went through, so I remember reading the road maps and like the letters from Yoshi P and just all this stuff. And I remember during one of the fan events, someone said like I don't always have a reason to come in every day and play every day. Like what kind of things can you do to address this? And then Yoshi P was just like, you don't have to play every day. If it's not healthy for you to do that, if you want to subscribe every major patch, play all the content, and then take a couple months off and come back for the next patch, that's a very reasonable way to play, and it might be healthy for you. Like, who says that? Like
no one that immediately come to my mind says that, because everyone wants stats. Everyone wants stats to show off. These big conferences, like we have active players, millions of them, but no one says, hey, I care for your mental health. If it's not healthy for you, don't play. No one says that. It's a gaming first competitive market right now. It's always been like that. No one says that. And he really does. You can see his dedication to his project, his baby.
Okay, so let's do one more comment from Discord, so that we don't go too over time, and then we'll save the rest for the next one.
All right, let's see. Currently, let's bring up one from, man, OXT really went ham with all these suggestions.
Yeah, so I'll just say while you're picking one out, go ahead. I really do appreciate everyone that commented and gave us some ideas. There was a lot of good discussion and just like a lot of good suggestions of topics that we can discuss. So I think that we'll have to do more of that in future episodes. We'll do kind of like a segment from the Discord where we address stuff directly from the Discord.
All right, so here's one. So Loki, one of my mods for that I've anointed for the Exos Heroes Guild, said this: discuss the perfection that is me. All right. I'm joking.
Yeah.
It was funny. I wanted to bring it up. Hi, Loki. Let's see.
Shout out to Loki.
Lekti had one, and I'm trying to find it. Lekti had one. Oh, compare gameplay between some examples. That we can't really do that. I think we said it.
Yeah, I think we did a little bit of that. We talked about really 3 games: War of the Visions, Exos Heroes, and a little bit about. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on it. It's one of the game that Epic 7. So we've done some comparisons. I think we'll do more of that in the future for sure. And we'd love to hear from the viewers too. Like if you are playing a game that we're not, or you also play all these games and you want to talk about the comparisons as well, like how certain games do things well or don't do things well, and how examples of how it's done properly somewhere else in the industry, then by all means share that, because I'd love to learn more about what's out there. And like, if I'm, am I being treated right in War of the Visions? Maybe I don't know. Maybe the grass is greener somewhere else.
I mean, I already told you about that, but you didn't want to listen. Let's
Yeah.
see. There's one more from OXT that I really wanted to get into on this one.
Okay.
So there was this comment came in from OXT. He was talking about Lord of Heroes. He said, which uses an in-game earned currency and premium currency to purchase heroes for use. The heroes to purchase outright are costly at $70 AUD, which is his currency. Admittedly, it comes as a package deal, but yeah, they are all potentially talking. Oh yeah, so the cost for units. So I've seen some people on Exos and on any gacha game that I play, and they spend absurd amounts of money for one character.
Yeah.
Can you imagine ever spending $1,000 for one character?
No, I can't. But again, I don't have the money to spend $1,000 on a character. But I think,
Right, I don't either. But
then again, there's people in the world that have disposable income, and there's lots of people that go out and they buy a bunch of cars, and like collecting cars or having multiple cars is what they're sinking their money into. I actually don't think having one nice car is worth anything, because a car is a car. It gets you around. If you have a cheap car, it's going to get you everywhere that the expensive car would get you. So there's tons of examples of how people spend money on extra, and I think if you have the money and $1,000 is like a drop in the hat for you, then I mean, that's great. Whatever, then maybe that's how you spend your extra money. But if you're someone that has it's more of a struggle with gacha games, then that's a little more serious. That's harder to imagine going that
But
deep.
I think what he was getting at is a specific package deal where you spend that amount of money. It's not like buying the currencies to pull for the person and you get unlucky. It's more like they sell it as a package deal with a certain package, and the hero comes with it, or like some unit or some like upgrade for the unit comes with the package deal. So you're spending so much money to gain an advantage over someone else at an absurd amount of like a price talking point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's all the same. World Visions did that as well. They had a UR and an MR package, and they've updated those to have new packages now. I think that for the most part, spending money, even in that case, it only ever gets you ahead on time. Like, because that's what these games are. They're a time sink, and they're a time sink so that you're impatient and you want to accelerate how your progress is going. You spend money to do it, and I think that it's the same thing with a packaged unit. Then that's great. It's not a product that's for me, so I don't really have an issue with it unless it became a point where it's like everybody was available that way, and then all the players that were spending money just had all the characters. Then it would kind of start to get a little bit insane, especially if there was like if the meta was changing fast.
And that is current. Oh yeah, for sure. And that's currently the delicate balance that a lot of companies have to do when making a gacha game, or any gacha game that's currently out now, is like, how is it, like, at a certain point we have to make sure that the game doesn't seem too pay to win, because then everyone's going to stop playing it, or those that don't have disposable income will stop playing this, or our player base will drop. So that definitely is something, like, it's a delicate balance that they've been trying to perfect over the years for gacha games in general.
Yeah, I think the free-to-play player base is important, because I think that's often going to be the vocal minority online, and it's going to be the people reviewing the game, and the people getting their friends into it, and the people watching the ads that you put in, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that you definitely have to think about the free-to-play player base whenever you implement a paid option. Otherwise, you're going to get some flack for it in the reviews.
Oh yeah, you're going to get review bombed like a motherfucker.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up there, and we'll save the rest of the topics for our next episode, which I think we'll have to pick either Exos Heroes or like Epic 7 or something, and go into one of those games. Since we picked my favorite game first, we'll talk about one of your favorite games. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Awesome. And just again, a reminder that we've got the Discord. It's going to be in the description, so please check that out. Come join us, and you can also get in the comments and tell us what we could possibly name this podcast. What are we going to do with it? Because I honestly, I actually did some serious brainstorming and I couldn't come up with anything clever or good. So we need your help.
I'm terrible at coming up with names, so I wasn't any help on that either. But yeah, definitely let us know in the comments, and please join the Discord. I made it there for everyone in the community, so you can talk. It's a small Discord, so you're not gonna get silenced in the crowd. You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of Discords are heavy with the traffic. Here, you're gonna have it easy. You're gonna be able to be heard.
Yeah, come get to know a few people, make some friends. It'll be good. All right, so with that, we're gonna sign off. So we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you all next time.
All right, one last thing. My YouTube channel is just starting up, and the podcast is gonna help me gain a little bit of momentum before it goes live. So if you want to check me out, I'm gonna be making some build videos for games that I play, like Exos Heroes, Epic 7, possibly Guardian Tales, depending on what happens with that. I'm going to be making PvP showcases, showing the units that I have, account reviews, and it's going to be something that I've wanted to do for a while, but I didn't have the courage for. So let me know. GatewayOfTheSix is going to be in the description below. Show you boys some love.
Yeah, sorry, I should have shouted it out myself there. And I want to speak to that real quick. It takes an insane amount of courage to be on YouTube. I used to get so nervous. I wouldn't even press public on my videos for so long, because I'm like, I can't put this out here because everyone's just gonna tell me that it sucks, and you just get stuck. Like it takes a lot of courage to get out there. So big props to Rev, and please check out his stuff. Okay, with that, now we're gonna get out of here. So let's go ahead and say goodbye. See ya.
Later.